Hi, my name is Star Sanford, and the focus of my audiovisual essay will be discussing how director Robert Wine utilized lighting to create shadows to enhance the tilted and jagged world of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. It has been mentioned that The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is the most influential German expressionist film to create the horror genre, and for a 1920 silent film, it is definitely a groundbreaking reference to the horror films we see, and, for some of us, love today.
But why?
Well, let's break down what makes a horror film. Number 1. An unusual character. Number 2. A monster. Number 3. Fear of death. And finally, but most importantly, number 4. The dark. There are many other things that create a horror movie, but we're just going to focus on the use of lighting, at least the lack of it, to create shadows.
Somebody turn on the lights!
Sorry, Lewis, not right now. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari has definitely demonstrated all the elements of a horror film. We once again turn to the use of lighting in the film. Robert talks about how the use of light and shadows, and that even when a real form of lighting is used on the set, this effect was often enhanced by painted shadows, an intended goal of heightening the film's altered reality. We can see this between the contrasting scenes of the real world and how we visually see Francis' internal suffering through the flashbacks. As we begin the film, Francis and an older gentleman are talking when Francis begins to reflect on his past. We are then transported to the internal thoughts of Francis, and we begin to see how he views his world. He talks about an evil man by the name of Dr. Caligari, as well as his best friend Alan. But this world he views is not the normal world. As you can see, when Dr. Caligari enters the scene, the background is on a painted set, but it is not a realistic portrait, more so an interpretation of what Francis believes the town of Holston Wall to be. But there is also the tilted stairs, the odd flooring, and the overall distorted feel with the environment. As Francis reflects on his friendship with Alan, Alan's world is also a depiction of how Francis's world is not like ours, with the repeated use of jagged, sharp edges painted on the walls and shadows reflecting on the floor. As White mentions with his case study on European art cinema, what they, the audience, see is reflected of what a madman sees, through distorted perspective, eerie lights and shadows, utilizing the expressionist sets to convey the asylum patient's thoughts, thus intensifying the emotions of characters. With the excellent use of skewed angles on buildings, narrowed off-centered hallways, and the strong contrast between light and dark, tells us a lot of Francis' internal struggle. With these observations, we can draw a comparison from our own world to the world of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari instantly. Their world tells us there is something off balance.
I can't see anything!
Viewing this silent feature, I too often felt distorted and off balance, and this created a more intriguing experience, making me gain a further understanding of the character's world, surrounding Francis' perspective, and how lighting was utilized to enhance the distortion of the world of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Thank you so much for watching my audiovisual essay. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I invite you to watch The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari for yourself and enjoy the beginning of the horror genre.